Hey YouTube, Kiritwig here, bringing you all an update to my Red Dragon Archfiend Yugioh deck profile for post Battles of Legends Terminal Revenge. We got some new cards to help support the Earthbound Red Dragon Archfiend in the latest Yu-Gi-Oh! Booster set. Really awesome support for the deck that just focuses on being able to have some more destruction capabilities along with a new main deck monster to help with the special summon power of the different Fiend monsters to use with our resonator monsters to be able to then summon out the plethora of different Red Dragon Archfiend monsters we have in the deck to begin with. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. For the Resonator monsters, we run 3 copies of Soul Resonator. If this card's normal or special summon, you can add one level 4 or lower Fiend monster from your deck to your hand, except for Soul Resonator. Also, you can add special summon monsters from the X deck for the rest of this turn, except for Dark Synchro monsters. And then also, with this card, if a card you control be destroyed by a card effect while you control Red Dragon Archfiend or a synchro monster that mentions it, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. You can use its effect of Soul Resonator once per turn, but it's search and setup for your Fiend monsters to be able to search out to then use with your Soul Resonator, and then also being able to make use of the protection ability while having your Red Dragon Archfiend on the field. I would say is one of the bigger weaknesses that the Red Dragon Archfiend monsters have, is just your opponent trying to destroy those monsters to begin with. And I also run 3 copies of Crimson Resonator. If you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. If the only other monster you control is exactly 1 Dark Dragon Synchro monster, you can special summon up to 2 Resonator monsters from your hand or deck, except for Crimson Resonator. You can use this effect of Crimson Resonator once per turn, and you cannot special summon from the X deck except for Dark Dragon Synchro monsters the turn you activate either of this card's effects. So this is meant to get your 2 additional tuners on the field for you to get out some of your bigger Red Dragon Archfiend monsters. Some of the bigger ones include cards like Tyrant Red Dragon Archfiend, which need 2 tuners to make it, but also cards like Red Nova Dragon being our level 12 monster to be able to summon out. We want all of these extra resources available just as a special summon for this card, and then being able to give you those 2 additional monsters. So if you have your Crimson Resonator along with your Red Rising Dragon on the field, you can get the 2 additional Resonator monsters, then go for your level 8 summon of your Red Dragon Archfiend and have those 2 other tuners ready to go. For some of the lower numbers for our Resonator monsters, 2 copies of Vision Resonator. If a level 5 or higher Dark monsters on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Vision Resonator once per turn this way. If it's sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 spell or trap that mentions Red Dragon Archfiend from your deck to your hand. You can use this effect of Vision Resonator once per turn, but being able to add one of our better spells, including Crimson Gaia, to our hand off of this card is an added search power, and then just more of an easy special summon resource for a Resonator monster from our hand onto the field as well, because we do have the Resonator Call that can also search out whatever Resonator monsters we may want to have. So having a Resonator monster that can just be special summoned all the easier from our hand to the field definitely helps with this card. Also 2 copies of Synchron Resonator for this card. If a Synchro monster is on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand, having another special summon option in the form of this card. And also if it's sent to the graveyard from the field, you can target 1 Resonator monster in your graveyard except for Synchron Resonator and add back to your hand, giving you more search power, whether it be your searchers or other searchers that we run for the other Resonator cards. And the 1 copy of Chain Resonator. If this card's normal summon while synchro monsters on the field, you can special summon 1 Resonator monster from your deck except for Chain Resonator, giving you a search for Soul Resonator as well, to then have the 2 tuners equaled out to summon out Red Nova Dragon, but also giving you that search when this card is special summoned as well. For the other Fiend monsters that we run in the deck, 3 copies of Bone Archfiend. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can send 1 other card from your hand or field to the graveyard to special summon this card. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the X deck for the rest of this turn, except for Dark Dragon Synchro monsters. You can target 1 face-up monster you control that has a level. Send 1 Fiend tuner from your hand or deck to the graveyard. If you do increase or decrease that monster's level by 1, you go use each effect of Bone Archfiend once per turn. So level adjustment, depending on the Red Dragon Archfiend monster you may want to go into, may also come up with this card being able to level adjust with some of our other Resonator monsters, because we have the variety of Resonator monsters to be able to summon out. Just being able to adjust those levels depending on what Resonator monster we may have can help with Bone Archfiend, but also just being another Archfiend resource to be able to get on the field if our Resonator monster has to be the normal summon. Also with this card, for the special summon, except for Dark Dragon Synchro monsters, you can target a face-up monster you control that has a level, send that Fiend tuner, and then increase or decrease. So if you have the Resonator search Flesh off of Soul Resonator. You can then add your Bone Archfiend and then use the effect of this card to send a Fiend Tuner from your hand or deck to the graveyard and decrease the level of Soul Resonator to then go for your level 6. But I'll go over that play at the end of the video also. 2 copies of Wandering King Wildwind is just another Fiend option if you control a Fiend Tuner with 1500 less attack as a special summon from your hand. If summoned this way, you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn except for synchro monsters. So having the Fiend Tuner option with 1500 less attack meets the Resonator requirements as well for this card. And then also for this card during the main phase, except the turn was sent to the graveyard, you can banish it to add a Fiend Tuner back from your deck to your hand, giving you search into other Resonator monsters also. The new card that I run is the Red Lotus Flame Crime. During the main phase, if you control a Fiend Tuner or your opponent controls a special summoned monster, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card's special summoned, inflict 400 damage to your opponent for each fire monster you control with different names. If this card is sent to the graveyard to synchro material, you can send 1 normal trap from your deck to the graveyard. You can use each effect of Red Lotus King Flame Crime once per turn. The main play with this is to also just have an easier level adjustment with our Soul Resonator, being able to search this card out as well, controlling the Fiend Tuner, or if our opponent controls a special summon monster, special summon this card out, and then from there you can inflict 400 damage to your opponent for each fire monster you control with different names. That's 800 damage right there. So a burn damage option is available to you now also in the deck to be able to summon out your monsters. If you have to go into time, at least have a burn damage option, as I said, to be able to go up against your opponent with. And the 1 copy of Obsessive Uvalu as another Fiend Tuner option with this card. If it's in your hand, you can target a synchro monster you control or in your graveyard, banish it if you do special summon this card. And if this card's in your graveyard, you can target 1 synchro monster you control or in your graveyard and banish it and add this card back to your hand as more resources and just another tuner option aside from the Resonator monsters. And then for some more engines, because going into our Red Rising Dragon is one of the more important plays in the deck to begin with. 3 copies of Supe Duskwalker and the 1 copy of Supe to be able to summon off of that card as well, giving you the level 6 synchro option just by discarding 1 card to special summon this card from your hand, and then summoning the Supe from the hand or deck also, with the only other monsters in the main deck being 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, just the hand trap of choice to go along with Infinite Impermanence for the main deck, while not taking up too much of our actual engine for our Red Dragon Archfiend plays. For the spells, 3 copies of Resonator Call. You just add 1 Resonator monster from your deck to your hand, so pretty standard search power with this card, being able to add a Resonator monster. It's not a once per turn, so if you open up multiple Resonator Calls, you can add those cards as well. The 3 copies of Crimson Gaia. During your main phase, you can add 1 Red Dragon Archfiend or 1 card that mentions it from your deck or graveyard to your hand, except for Crimson Gaia. When your Red Dragon Archfiend declares an attack, you can change all of your opponent's monsters you control to face down defense. If a monster on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon 1 Red Dragon Archfiend from your graveyard, giving you that search option to add a card that mentions the Red Dragon Archfiend. Is an added plus depending on the cards that we use in the deck to begin with for our summon, but also just being able to go for the added search power for our many different plays in the deck as well is what I like about this card. It just gives you back those resources from your graveyard to then reuse on the field as well. And then also 2 copies of Pot of Prosperity for the added search and setup for many of our different cards. And also the 1 copy of 1 for 1 and the 1 copy of Call by the Grave for just the last spells as more of a level 1 tuner extension and stopping our opponent's hand traps with Call by the Grave. For the traps, one of the new ones from the Terminal Revenge booster set is Earthbound Resonance. If a monster that was special summoned from the extra deck is destroyed by a card effect except during the damage step, you can target one of them. Each player takes damage equal to half its attack. When your Dark Synchro monster special summoned from the extra deck is targeted for an attack, you can target 1 card on the field and destroy it. So it's more of a protection option with your Red Dragon Archfiend cards, giving you a destruction play, being able to target a card on the field. You can, target the card that is attacking them and destroy them, and then also just giving you more of a burn damage option if a monster that was special summoned from the extra deck is destroyed by a card effect. So this will go off of the Red Dragon Archfiend's own destruction capabilities to destroy your opponent's monsters, and then just benefit from that burn also. And then lastly, the 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, along with the Ash Blossom, just the hand trap lineup that I like to use in the deck. for the extra deck, we're running 3 copies of Red Rising Dragon. If need be, they can be one of the targets for the Pot of Prosperity, as long as we have the other copies to be able to go into. When it's synchro summon, you can target 1 resonator monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck the turn you activate this, except for Dark Dragon synchro monsters, and during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card, target 2 level 1 resonator monsters in your graveyard, and special summon both. Once again, just more resource extension for our resonator monsters using this card, but its main play is to set up our bigger Red Dragon Archfiend monsters by being able to go into a level 6 synchro monster. And also the 2 copies of Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, with this card having the destruction option with attack less than or equal to this card, then inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each destroyed monster. I guess technically we did already have the burn capabilities, but with the new added monster being the Red Lotus Flame Crime, just more burn damage on top of the burn damage we could already do with the Red Dragon Archfiend deck. And then also the 1 Hot Red Dragon Archfiend, more destruction power as well with this card. The 1 Scarred Dragon Archfiend. This card's name becomes Red Dragon Archfiend while in the field or in the graveyard. If this card is sent from the monster card zone while it is on the basically to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 Red Dragon Archfiend from your extra deck. This is treated as a synchro summon. Then if this card was sent to the graveyard as synchro material for a Dark Dragon synchro monster, you can destroy all attack position monsters your opponent controls. So the big play here is I couldn't find where my 1 Red Dragon Archfiend is. So if you want, you can replace the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend for the Red Dragon Archfiend copy, because you do have to actually run a copy of Red Dragon Archfiend in the deck, because the Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend only counts as it while it's on the field or in the graveyard. You still need the actual Red Dragon Archfiend to be able to summon off of this card if it's sent from the monster zone to the graveyard, and it has to be the actual one in the extra deck to use. The 1 copy of Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, along with the 1 Tyrant Red Dragon Archfiend and the 1 Red Nova Dragon for some of the other synchro monsters that we go into. If you want to run Bane as well, you can either take out the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Calamity, because there is a chance that this card could be hit on the ban list just with its shutdown capabilities that we've seen with the Centurion deck. But also the Red Supernova Dragon is one of your bigger monsters, needing 3 tuners and 1 non-tuner synchro monster to make this card. The 1 Void Ogre Dragon and the 1 Kui Belt, the Blade Dragon. And lastly, 1 Crystal Wing. You are locked into Dark Dragon synchros. I like to make this every so often if we just have a summon of a Resonator monster on the field and we have one of our other synchro monsters to be able to go into. If not, this could also be another spot that you take out for Red Dragon Archfiend Bane to put in for. But as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, as I mentioned, the Flame Crime can be searched quite easily. If we summon out our Soul Resonator, add 1 level 4 lower Fiend monster from our deck to our hand except Soul Resonator, and then also we're locked for Dark Synchro for the extract, but we added our Flame Crime. Then if we control the Fiend Tuner, which we do, we can special summon this card out, inflict 800 damage to our opponent, 400 for each different fire type monster we control, and then also we can use the option for this card to be able to go into the level 6 synchro for the Red Rising Dragon. You would have the trap effect if you wanted to run one of the other Red Dragon Archfiend traps that can be added back. You can take out 1 of the Earthbound Resonance for 1 of the Red Call traps for the search and setup with Flame Crime if you wish. But then we have the play with Red Rising Dragon to then target a Resonator monster in our graveyard and special summon it. You cannot summon from the extract the turn you activate this except for Dark Dragon Synchros. So then you have your summon of your Soul Resonator back onto the field as well. The big problem here with this play is that you are limited to the summon of your monster being a level 3 and then having a level 6 monster on the field. So then you'll need just some extra extension for your plays if you wish to continue from this 1 summon, whether it be another Resonator monster that may be in your hand. You could always go for that summon, or just having that special summon option as well available too. You can go for the Resonator call to add your Vision Resonator to your hand, or even if you had the Crimson Resonator option to then give you the special summon of that card on the field as well. You would go for the Vision Resonator as a summon, and with that you can go for your level 8 synchro summon of your Red Dragon Archfiend monster. And from there, you would also have the option, if it's sent to the graveyard, to add 1 spell drop that mentions Red Dragon Archfiend from your deck to your hand. So you could add the Crimson Gaia off of this card also, and then have the additional search off of that card as well. And then you would just need the 1 additional tuner to use with the Soul Resonator that we have back on the field as well, thanks to the original Red Rising Dragon, to then go into one of the bigger synchro plays. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy the video. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira, Twig out.